Okay guys, welcome back to your fourth tutorial in this series of the App Store. So in the last tutorial we used singletons and categories to really kind of refine our project a bit more, and then we did something else. I can't remember what exactly. Oh yeah, we made the paginated controller. But that is working away nicely. So what we are going to do now is we're going to finish off this controller altogether. So to do that, we're going to tidy up these cells. We're going to put an index in the side, and we're going to put in our segment control. So to begin with, to tidy up our control, into your main storyboard, and we're going to move some things around. Start by selecting all the subviews in here. You double click on them and just move them all across a bit to it there. Okay, then grab yourself a label, stick it down there, reduce the size to about 40 pixels. Yep. The size down to about maybe 12, 13, and we know we're not going to go over 150 items, so let's make sure we actually can fit this in. Let's change to 150 and a full stop. Okay, it doesn't go off the edge, so you can reduce the size down a bit to maybe 30. Perfect. Just align that and center it. Okay, cool. So now let's open our Mr. Friend here, recent files, and our item cell, this one. Drag the label across with the control drop, and let's call it item index label. Okay, one more thing we have to do is, because this doesn't tell us which item is where and at what stage in the view or the controller this item index is going to be, we have to manually input it ourselves. Now what we could do is we could simply assign it from, we could do is every time a cell gets drawn we could see what item it is, we could do it that way. That's a bit, it's not messy, it's just kind of moving the data population away and control away from single methods, so it's kind of awkward. So what we're going to do now is a tiny bit awkward as well, but it's more kind of keeping everything in the right place. So what I want you to do is, I don't know why is immutable dictionaries, they won't work. So in this dictionary, this was probably changed from my messing around earlier. Now this is NS dictionary. We can try and just make this an NS mutable dictionary, but it won't let us. We can't insert things into an NS dictionary, so we have to forcibly convert this to an NS mutable dictionary type. So NS mutable dictionary, mutable item equals NS mutable dictionary, dictionary with dictionary item. Okay, now mutable item, so 1 second, and just make sure you change this part here. We're going to pass in this dictionary is an exact copy, except now we can actually change this dictionary. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a count. So int count equals 0, and every time we get a dictionary, count plus plus. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So mutable item, set object count for key item index. Now this isn't going to work because you can't set an integer like this, or an integer value. We have to set it as ns number. So ns number with int count, because you're setting an object, and an integer is not an object. A number is an NS object. Well, it's an object. Okay, so now we've one more thing to do, two more things to do. Go into your app item objects and add a property non-atomic, NS integer, item index, and then into your data population method and set it here. So item object dot item index equals item dictionary, object for key item index, and then last thing, oh yeah, sorry, it is a integer value. And into our cell, wrong cell. Then here, self.item index label dot text equals ns string with format %li app item dot item index. And we connect to that, I believe. Yes, and run. Ooh, yes, I like that. Now we're going to do a tiny bit more editing. I forgot to do something there. A full stop there. And I don't like the fact that you can't see, there's no kind of break between the cells. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very small thing just to kind of... Now, remember I said we're not going to go into the very, very specifics here. We're just kind of going to really just do some very, very basic modeling, not modeling, like view kind of modifications, just to kind of tidy it up a little bit. As I said, like if I was going to polish this down to make it exactly look like the App Store, it would take probably the same amount of time it takes to code as well as doing all the little funny bits. Because trust me, guys, doing a lot of the hold on, what have I done here? I've moved stuff around and I didn't want to. Trust me, the graphical stuff takes a lot longer than you think. It takes a long time. Let's grab a nice little light grey colour so you can see the difference. Something like that. And let's move it to position. I was going to call it divider, just so anyone who looks at this will have an idea of what this view is doing. You can use an image, you can use whatever the hell you want. Let's actually put it down to 99, one below the width, and change the width to 300. And just bring it to the edge. So you can see it's going to go on the very, very border down here. There. So I rebuild again. So there's a nice little kind of break between everything. So you can kind of see where everything is divided. All the numbers increasing, all the way to 150. Perfect. So that's not the nicest way of doing it, but because the API should tell you exactly what's going on, you shouldn't have to manipulate the data in any way. The API should do everything for you. In this case, it's not doing it for us, so we have to say, okay, nothing we can do. Next thing we're going to do is put in our segment controller. So how are we going to do that? Let's do it the kind of top-down way. So go into your collection view, so your storyboard, and your collection view. And now here's something we probably should have done earlier. You'll notice that we have a navigation bar here, and the collection view starts up here. That's because we never actually did something here, and that's turn off under top bars. And why are it under bottom bars? Because I don't want that. So you'll now see that the collection view is starting up here, but we want to drop this down about this much. And just make sure that this happens sometimes. The Y will go off, the height will go off the edge of the view. It's very annoying. And just drop the height until you see it really appear on the screen. You'll see it in a second now. 3, there we go. Perfect. And then up top, grab a segment control and drop it down. And drag it out, make it nice and big so you can see it from all around, and let's make it have 3 segments. So the first one, we're going to copy the App Store and call it paid. The second one is going to be free, and then the third one is going to be top grossing. Okay, so now we're going to open our site inspector again, that's our thingamajig, whatever you want to call it. And here, we're in top right, perfect. Control drag into your interface, drop, and we're going to call this segment control. Nothing matter fancy. And while we're here, we're going to make a method called, it's called IV action segment changed. And change the ID to UI segment control, and change the sender to segment. Straight away it's going to tell you this has not been implemented. That's very true. We have not implemented just yet. Patience is a virtue, so I've been told. Close that, and then let's connect our method. So there's no kind of inbuilt notifier or delegate methods associated with segment control, so we're going to kind of build our own. We have built it, now we're going to connect it. Now if the button we'd usually connect like touch up inside or anything, touch down in some cases. Here we're going to connect value changed. So drag value changed across and choose segment changed. Okay, good. Into our top rated controller. Now let's make a new pragma mark called pragma mark actions. And then IB action, segment changed, boom. Okay, so how are we going to handle this? Because we are only ever going to have three API calls, we're going to have to maneuver this slightly a bit differently. So what's going to happen is essentially we want to know which segment's pressed. So switch segment, oops, not segment, fly, segment dot selected segment index. So K0 will be the first one, and then this is essentially just like a big if else statement, kind of, but it's kind of a cleaner way of doing it. So you could do if segment looks like the next equals 0, 1, 2, 3. You could, I just like using switch statements. So this is what we're going to execute based on which one's pressed. So we're going to change our viewDid load method a little bit. But first, we need to differentiate what's going to happen when these three gets pressed. So what we're going to do is we're going to define 3 static constant strings. And you're probably wondering what that means. I will show you. So above the implementation here, static constant ns string, I'm going to call it top grossing URL string equals, I'll fill it in a second, static constant ns string top free URL string equals, we'll fill it in soon. And we can use defines here if we really wanted, but just mixing things up a little bit. ns string top paid URL string equals. Okay, so the whole point of using these kind of things here, same as these, because these are going to be used in multiple places, if these ever change down the line, we change it in one place and that change gets reused everywhere in the whole screen. So we're kind of making sure we don't have 5 or 6 different variables that require changing at any one time. We change one, then they all kind of fall into line. So we already know what the first one is, but we're not going to use the whole thing. We're going to use parts of this. So we want everything up to this and the limit, because don't forget the limit's going to change, but this part is not for each one. So the top grossing, that's that one. And for the top free, it's just literally called top free applications. And then for the paid, it's just top paid applications. Easy. So what are we going to do now? So what we're going to do now is in viewDid load, we're going to comment out this line and just rewrite the query a little bit. So self execute query ns string with format. Missing one, yes. So the string of format. So string is going to go something like this: string limit equals percent. What do we have here? Yeah, percent %ld/JSON, comma, and then we're going to use top paid URL string, comma, then same as before, paid size multiplied by self.current page. Easy. So we're using a define, a constant even, and the exact same format as before, just slightly different. So now I think you can guess what it's going to look like below. So we can actually just take this whole string for now and just copy paste, copy paste. Don't forget guys, copy and paste is dangerous. Always be careful of what you're doing. I'm going to try and not mess this up. So we know top paid is the first one, segment 0. So the next one's got to be top free. And then the bottom one's going to be top grossing. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now that's all fine. So when we first start the app, we're going to go off and do our... Sorry, when we first start the app, we can delete that line. Don't forget, commented code. Comments are only supposed to be helpful, not taking up space. Page 0, it's going to do the query, top paid, and then that. If they press segment change, the selected segment is going to go off and do the query based on what's been pressed. So top paid, top free, and top grossing. Okay, now one last little thing we gotta change is this line here, because that's no longer being used. So we can comment that out just for now. Now, rather than doing anything kind of mad or crazy, there's one kind of clever little cheaty thing we can do. So when you're scrolling, okay, the segment control will know what index is currently on. You could ask at any point what its current selected index is. So technically, what we can just do is self segment changed self.segment control. You're gonna, hold on, why will that work? Because if we press index 2, okay, 0, 1, 2, the third, top grossing, it's going to go off and do the grossing, go and get that many items. Then as we scroll, it's going to know that we're currently on 0, 1, 2. And I'm going to make that request. Sneaky, eh? It's delete these 2 lines. Okay, and it's going to delete that one line, select everything, Control-I to format, everything looks good to me, and rebuild. Okay, so as you can see, it's gone off and got the first top paid. If you click across, to get all the free items, and across top grossing, there we go. How about that? So, 2 minor things. One minor thing, one quick refactoring job, not refactoring, tidy up job to finish these cells, and one kind of, do I have time to do it? But first of all, we're going to tidy this a little bit, because as you can see, some of these cells are going off the screen, and it wouldn't look better if that was free rather than a number. So let's refactor those massively fast. Main storyboard. Select your top cell, top label, and just increase the size to 27. Yeah, and into property in here and select 0. So that means that it's gonna, if you set a number of lines, that's maximum amount of lines. If you set to 0, it's infinite. It'll automatically use all the space it can to fill itself in. So one other thing I want to do here, I'm looking at it. The name, oh yeah, the price. So let's just quickly rebuild and see if Zeusk or Zoop has gone to 2 lines. Give me something. Nope, Grinder still only on 1 line. Let's increase the height to 28. Come on. No. 30. Yay! Now, obviously, some are going to tail off at 2 lines. We could do something really clever about getting the height of this label versus the one below it and move about, or use auto layout. But now is not the time for that. As I said, guys, the actual fine detail in all these little details is not the purpose of this tutorials. These are just to kind of get the construct of the app down, which you've done. One other little refactoring thing I want to do is the label. So these should all say free rather than 0, 0, 0 or 0, 0. So let's go into our app item cell, and return type is going to be in a string, and price for item AP app item object. Yeah. no, constant app item. Okay, so what we're going to do here now is define free price 0.00 if app item dot price, what I think was a string, equals free price hold on guys, got a phone call. Hello? Phone call there. I probably shouted that out, but we will see. Okay, so if the price is equal to free, I want to return something special. Why is this now gone all crazy on me? Ugh. There we go. So if it's free, I want to have a string, and a string, price string equals, nah, empty for now. If it's free, I want price string to be equal to 0 dot, no, free. If it's not, I want price string to be equal to and a string with format. We're going to steal this string here. Have I done something? Grant. Return price string, and don't forget we can shorthand this nice and easy. Return price string. No, we'll leave it longhand just so people can see what's actually going on. It's not massively important. So then we just change this to price string equal to self price string for item app item and run. How's about that? Free. Swap over, you got the free, you got the payment, you got all the things in the world you want. Okay, now I know you're probably thinking, hold on, there's a button here that lets you go into the app and check it out and buy it. We'll be doing the app detail page later on because there's a lot to do in that. It's a massive controller with a lot of information, extra web calls. So I'm going to leave that to later on because a lot of controllers use that view. So that's not a massive priority for me right now because once all the views are done, it's simply connect them to use that particular controller. But this is all about segment control and all this. Now I'm going to make a side tutorial because, as you can see, because I'm on a fast connection, these are swapping across no problem. If you're on a very slow connection, you're going to see the previous data until the connection pulls in the next data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a category on how to write a category on UI view controller that will show a white view with the loading spinner while this is going on. So it's not going to be part of the main series. It's going to be kind of a spin-off, so to speak. But in the next tutorial you're in, you will see this being used. The tutorial will show you how to make it, or you can just continue using the app, the tutorials without seeing how it's done, but you'll see it appear here in the next linear tutorial for number 5, but it's also going to be a side tutorial for you to view and download and play with. Alright guys, thanks for joining me. The next tutorial will be the search controller. So it's going to have a side-scrolling controller with search functionality. So that's the next tutorial. So like, subscribe, and join us next time. See you soon.